Willie Nelson is known for his singing, his bandana, and his calm smile. His songs made us feel like we were at home. But behind the music was a man who looked like he was in a lot of pain. He made everything sing, but he had a lot of heartbreak in his own life. He lost people he loved, saw friends die, and had health scares that almost broke him. Hits kept coming at him even as he aged, in life as well as music. Fans never thought that Willie Nelson would end up the way he did. Come along with us as we remember Willie Nelson's sad trip and the end of a country legend. The early years of Willie Nelson. Neil Diamond was born on the 29th of April, 1933, in a small Texas town called Avett. But things were hard from the start. His parents, Ira and Merle, split up not long after he was born. His mom was the first to leave. Then his dad got married again and left. There was no one there to take Willie and his older sister Bobby. These people took care of them as kids. The kids did not grow up alone, even though their parents were not there. These people loved and played music for them. Indeed, and they made sure that Willie and Bobby heard songs all the time, as they grew up. When asked about them, Willie once said, "Neither of them knew how to take care of us. They really helped us out." Willie's grandfather worked as a blacksmith. He often got help from Willie, but things got even worse when his grandfather died of pneumonia. Willie was only 6 years old. He wrote in his autobiography, "Our separation from mother and father seemed worse than death because they were still alive and well, but they weren't with me and Bobby like they were supposed to be." He felt that lost pain for many years. His grandfather gave him his first guitar. Willie began to learn chords when he was 6 years old. He was writing his own songs by the time he was 7. He sang gospel music at church and even joined a band called Bohemian Pula when he was only 9 years old. He did more than just play music for fun. It turned into a way out. Life wasn't easy, though, even with music. To make money, Willie and his family picked cotton in the hot Texas sun. It made him mad. In his book Roll Me Up and Smoke Me, he wrote, "Here's when I die. It was really hot and I couldn't help but think of a better way to make $1 and live." He was right too. Still, it would take a long time to get to that better life. A kid with a dream and a guitar. Willie had been through more hard times than most people do by the time he was a teenager. He didn't give up though. He first played in small bars, dance halls, and honky-tonks. He began making money with music when he was only 13. Willie played his guitar at night to help support his family, while other kids went home from school to rest. Willie grew up listening to a lot of different kinds of music. He liked artists like Frank Sinatra, Hank Williams, Bob Wills, and Django Reinhardt. All of those sounds helped him make his own voice and style. Willie was more than just music in high school. It was his job to play football, basketball, and baseball. He took part in the Future Farmers of America and raised pigs as well. However, music was always what drew him in the most. He joined a band called the Texans when he was in high school. Bud Fletcher, who is married to his sister, was in charge of it. On a small radio station in Hillsboro, Texas, they played every Sunday morning. There was already a crowd of people listening to Willie, even if they were in their own houses. But making songs wasn't enough to pay the bills. Willie had other jobs too. He answered the phone, cut down trees, and even worked in a pawn shop. You had to stay alive to stay alive. Willie did everything that had to be done. He joined the U.S. Air Force after high school. That also didn't last long, though. After only 8 months, he was let go because of back problems. Another thing in the way. He tried, failed, and tried again, but he didn't stop growing. Willie tried going to college after his time in the military. He went to Baylor University and studied farming. Beside that, he joined a group called Tau Kappa Epsilon. He tried to sit down but couldn't. He dropped out of school in 1956 to follow his dream of becoming a musician full-time. But hopes and dreams don't pay the bills. Willie did more odd jobs to make ends meet. He worked as a bouncer in a nightclub, made saddles, worked as a partsman in an auto shop, and cut trees again. He even played for a while in the band of his friend Johnny Bush. He went to Pleasanton, Texas in the end. That's where his first chance to be a DJ came from. Even though Willie had never worked in radio before, the owner of K-Bop gave him the job. In 1955, that short break helped him record his first songs. The Storm Has Just Begun, and When I've Sung My Last Hillbilly Song were their names. The recordings were made on used tapes and he sent them to a label but they turned them down. He kept going anyway. He worked at several radio stations, some in Denton and some in Fort Worth. For fun, he played live music in bars at night and taught Sunday school during the day. Then he thought that maybe starting over would be good. He got ready to move to San Diego, but he also couldn't find work there. What happened next, by the way, shows how driven Willie really was. A ditch, a goods train, and a $10 lifeline. Willie began traveling from San Diego to Portland, Oregon, where his mother lived because he had nowhere else to go. He was dropped, but no one picked him up. He slept in a ditch in the end. Think about that. Young Willie Nelson, guitar in hand, on the street, no one to ride with, no place to stay. He wasn't broken in that moment, but it could have been. He finally got on a goods train that was going to Eugene, Oregon. A nice truck driver picked him up and took him to a bus stop. He even paid Willie $10 for a train ticket to get to Portland. Willie got another chance because of that small act of kindness. Success wasn't just outside the door even back then. All the while, Willie worked hard at different jobs. He even sold encyclopedias, door to door at one point. He didn't like it though. In an interview he said, "The people I was selling to lived in run-down apartments. It made me feel bad that I sold a $600 set of books to people who couldn't buy a couch." His hard work began to pay off in the end. Family Bible was his first song and he only got $100 for it. Everything changed at that time. He thought he could really make it after that. He then packed up his things again and moved to Nashville, ready to give country music his all. It was rough on the way, it hurt, was turned down, and had long nights. But there was also music, kindness, and little bits of hope. Willie Nelson's life didn't start out with him being famous. It began in churches, radio booths, cotton fields, and even train tracks. And a story grew out of all of that. A long road with lots of work to do. Willie Nelson had been through a lot by 1956. He worked for a radio station in Vancouver, Washington, and was also on TV in the area. His first song, No Place for Me, came out around that time. The record didn't do very well, but he kept going. Willie worked as a radio host and played music in clubs at night. He even went to Colorado and Missouri to look for work, but nothing really worked out. He ended up washing dishes just to stay alive, after failing to get on the show Ozark Jubilee. Willie moved back to Texas because he felt stuck. He first lived in Waco and then went to Fort Worth. He finally stopped making songs for a year. During that break, he went door to door selling Bibles and dusters. He even worked his way up to sales manager for Encyclopedia Americana later on. Bill, his son, was born in 1958. After that, Willie moved to Houston with his family. He stopped at the Esquire Ballroom on the way and tried to sell his song Mr. Recordman for $10. Lawrence Butler, the singer, didn't buy the song, but he did lend him $50 and hired him to sing at the club for 6 nights. That little thing made it easier for Willie to rent an apartment in Pasadena, Texas. He went back to work as a DJ there. During this time, he also made 2 more songs. When Willie sold the song Family Bible to Paul Buskirk for $50, it was his big break. Nightlife was also for sale for $150. Family Bible was a hit for singer Claude Gray in 1960, even though he didn't keep the songs. Willie thought that music was still something to look for. He packed up his things again and moved, this time to Nashville. But the trip wasn't easy, not even in the place where country music began. I write to help other people and live by hope. Willie couldn't get signed to a record company when he got to Nashville in 1960. He went to the Tootsie Orchid Lounge, a bar close to the Grand Ole Opry, for a while. A lot of singers and songwriters liked going there. He was playing with some other musicians one day when Hank Cochran, a songwriter, saw him. Cochran got a rise, but he didn't want to keep the extra money. Instead, he asked his boss to give it to Willie as payment for signing with Pamper Music. That choice changed Willie's whole life. Hello Walls was one of the songs Willie played at Tootsie's. Farron Young, a singer, liked it and chose to record it. That helped people know about Willie. Then country singer Ray Price made Nightlife. Price asked Willie to join his band when he needed a new bass player. He and the Cherokee Cowboys hit the road with Willie. Willie's songs started to become big hits while he was on tour with the band, but not by him. He had other singers record his music. His song was called Funny How Time Slips Away. Pretty Paper was sung by Roy Orbison, and most famously, Patti Cline made the song Crazy. That has a story too. Charles Dick, Cline's husband, heard Crazy on the Tootsie's jukebox. He liked it so much that he played Pat the Test at home. She chose to record it right then. The song was played on jukeboxes more than any other song ever. Willie still wanted to play his own music, even though other people were becoming famous with his songs. In 1961, he signed with Liberty Records and began making records in Nashville. It made it to the top 10 with his duo with Shirley Colley called Willingly. His song by himself, Touch Me, did too. His first record, Tut and Then I Wrote, came out in 1962. Willie got married to Shirley Colley in Las Vegas in 1963. He later moved to California and got a job at Pamper Records, but he wasn't able to do much there. He left and moved again, this time to Ridgetop, Tennessee, where he bought a ranch. Things went up and down for him over the next few years, but nothing could have prepared him for what came next. Years at RCA, a house fire, and almost giving up. A record company called Monument Records signed Willie in the beginning of 1964. I Never Cared About You was the only single that came out. Soon after, Willie moved to RCA Victor with the help of Chad Atkins. He agreed to get $10,000 a year. Country Willie, his own songs, was the name of his first RCA album, which came out in April 1965. Willie joined the Grand Ole Opry that same year. After seeing one of Lon Jennings' shows in Arizona, he became friends with him too. Then Willie put together a band called the Record Men, which had Johnny Bush and Paul English in it. At this point, his work wasn't a big hit, but he was slowly getting more fans. Some of his songs were in the top 25 from 1966 to 1969. Some of his best songs were One in a Row, The Party's Over, and a cover of Bring Me Sunshine. But things behind the scenes were not easy. It wasn't making Willie enough money because he was spending most of his salary on tours. Beside that, he split up with Shirley Colley in 1970. Then bad things happened. Willie's ranch in Tennessee caught fire in December 1970. It caught on fire and burnt down. That was a sign for Willie. He felt like he had to make a change in his life. To get away from that, he went to a ranch near Bandera, Texas. Beside that, he married someone else again, this time. In early 1971, his song I'm a Memory made it to the top 30, but RCA wasn't happy with it. They wanted him to sign a new deal early. Willie said no. RCA then said they would not put out his songs. Willie felt crushed after his album, Yesterday's Wine, didn't do well. He gave up leading outlaw country and chose to stop making music. Willie Nelson was ready to give up everything in 1972. He had written hit songs for other people, but his own career wasn't going anywhere. People magazine said that Willie was so mad that he offered RCA $14,000 to get out of his deal. In order to play in bars and other small venues around Austin, he went back to Texas and bought an old Greyhound bus. But Austin had a very interesting event going on. As Nashville's music scene grew, it was full of people who didn't care about the city's rules. These musicians just wanted to play the way they wanted to. Willie was a good fit. He signed with Atlantic Records in 1973 and put out Shotgun Willie. Hearts and Stages came next. The music on these CDs was different. It wasn't as smooth and clean as Nashville music. It felt real and came from the heart. Outlaw Country was the name of this new style. He became a member of Columbia Records in 1975 and recorded Red-Headed Stranger there. People really liked the strange record. He worked on another record that same year with Wan Jennings, Jesse Coulter, and Tom Glazer. It was called Wanted the Outlaws. It worked out really well. It was no longer just songs that Willie wrote. He was now a country music singer for a new style. His fame only grew in the 980 seconds. Hits like On the Road Again, Poncho and Lefty, and To All the Girls I've Loved Before came from records he put out. He also joined the Highwaymen with Johnny Cash, Waylon Jennings, and Chris Christopherson. Willie helped put together Farm Aid, a concert in 1985 to help American farmers who were having a hard time. Every year, the same big event takes place. Willie never missed a single one. In that case, Willie Nelson was more than just a singer by the 1970 seconds. Albums like Shotgun Willie, Stardust, and Red-Headed Stranger made him famous. Hollywood knew who he was after he made his name. The stage and the big screen both wanted him in their films, and Sidney Pollack was one of them. Willie went on to be in films like Thief, Stagecoach, and Electric Horseman with Robert Redford. He tried acting even though he didn't think he was very good at it. Willie said, "I pretty much play myself though I'm supposed to be someone else. And you don't have to act very much to do that." He didn't win any acting awards, but he did get a nod for the Oscars for Best Original Song, which was just as cool. It was for the movie Honeysuckle Rose. It was called On the Road Again. It's funny that he wrote it on the back of an aeroplane vomit bag. Willie liked being in films, but his first love was music. He said, "I like making movies, but it's stuffy, and I don't like going too long without concerts." Behind the movies and fame, Willie was still going through a lot of pain, and some of it almost took him away for good. A bad time in Nashville. In his early years in Nashville, things were not easy for Willie Nelson. He wrote about how lost he felt back then in his book Me and Paul. He lived in a broken-down caravan next to a graveyard. He wasn't getting many music jobs. He went back to selling encyclopedias to make money. He said that he wasn't usually sad, but that he was really sad at that time. He drank a lot to feel better, but it made things worse. At the bar, he kept seeing other artists who were getting the attention he was still looking for. When he was drunk one night, a song came to him. Trouble in My Mind is a song by Lightning Hopkins. Someone said, "I'm going to lay my head on someone else's lonely railway line." He kept thinking about that line. Since there was no railway close, Willie walked out into a busy street and laid down. There was no traffic, though. Cars easily missed him. He changed his mind in that quiet moment. "Were I happy? Were you let down?" He wrote, "Can't say for sure. I only remember that I got up, went back to Tootsie's, and had one more drink." He was lucky to make it through that night. That was the last time his heart broke, though. Heartache, lies, and a split up. Willie's relationships went up and down a lot. He wrote about a time in his second marriage that changed everything in his book Me and Sister Bobby. He was still married to singer Shirley Colley at the time, but he had a child with another woman, Connie Kepke. It was a surprise when the truth came out. Shirley found a hospital bill in a letter one day. It wasn't just any bill. It showed how much it cost for Mrs. Connie Nelson to have a girl named Paula Carlin. Willie told a lie. So Shirley knew it wasn't a big deal, just a trip to the hospital. She didn't believe him, though. There was clear writing on the bill. There was no way out. "I had to say what I wanted to say," he stated. "Connie's my girlfriend and Paul's our daughter." That was the end of his marriage to Shirley. After that, in 1971, he married Connie. Even after everything, Willie still says nice things about his ex-wives. He told the Telegraph, "You don't throw them away. There are no ex-wives, there are only extra wives." But even though his family was getting bigger, he was about to lose another loved one, and it would hurt the most. He failed to save the son. Willie Nelson's life changed again in 1990. The IRS went after him because he owed money in taxes. They took away almost everything, like his house in Texas and the music he had recorded in his studio. Bobby, his sister, said the worst part was that they took his music. Not only did they take things, but the worst was yet to come. Vanity Fair did a deep profile on Willie a month ago. The article talked about his sad songs, past losses, and dark times. On Christmas Day, his oldest son Billy Nelson killed himself. Before he died, he was working on a gospel record. Willie later told a friend, "In all my life, I've never been through anything so terrible." But he had to deal with more than one loss. Paul English died in 2020. He was 87 years old and had been Willie's drummer and best friend for 25 years. Paul had always been with Willie. When they met in 1956, Willie told her that he was a fun-loving criminal with a gun who had no fears. Paul used a cardboard box and paintbrushes to show that he could play the drums. These two were more than just friends. They were related. Willie named his daughter Paula after him. "If I hadn't gone with Willie, I would be in prison or dead," Paul had said at one point. When Paul died, Willie's daughter Amy said, "He was like the co-head of our family. Paul's shoes will never be filled again." In 2022, Willie lost someone even more important to him. Bobby, his sister. It wasn't just family for Bobby. She played music with him, made him feel better, and was his biggest fan. They wrote a book called Me and Sister Bobby Together. Willie wrote, "I'd never be where I am today without my sister. I need her all the time." Few people can even begin to understand what Willie Nelson has been through. He's had a lot of health problems over the years, mostly with his lungs. At one point his lung even gave out. A disease called emphysema was also found in him. This makes it hard to breathe and usually gets worse over time. The long fight he had with his lungs. Things got so bad for Willie in 2015 that he had to have a stem cell surgery to try to fix some of the damage. How did his lungs get so bad in the first place? It began very early, very early. Willie wrote in his book, "Roll me up and smoke me. When I die, I would take a dozen eggs from our chicken, walk to the store, and trade them for a pack of Camel cigarettes." He first smoked cigarettes when he was 6 years old. But smoking wasn't just bad for him, it was also bad for his family. "Tobacco killed my mother, my father, my stepmother, and my stepfather." He wrote in the same book, "Tobacco killed half of the people in my family." He finally gave up smoking. He smoked pot for many years after that. However, he gave up that too when it began to hurt his health. He now uses food instead. It was hard for Willie, but he never gave up. Many people, including his own son Lukas, have been moved by his strength and good mood. Lukas said in the film, Willie Nelson and Family, "That's what inspires me about him." Willie's attitude about life and death is very different from how strong he is in the face of hardship, and how he deals with getting older. "I'm not scared of dying." He turned 91 years old in April 2024. Most people that age are retired or taking it easy, but not Willie. He kept putting out songs, playing at big events, and talking to his fans. Everyone was shocked at how calm he was when he talked about death. "I'm 91 years old and up, so you know, I'm not worried about it," he told the Associated Press. "I'm okay. I'm not hurting anywhere. There's no reason for me to be scared of dying." Willie smiled and added, "I think my health is pretty good because I take pretty good care of myself. Mind-wise, that's a different thing." Willie is not scared, even though he has had health problems in the past, like emphysema and a collapsed lung, and even during the pandemic. He keeps living his life the same way he always has, with funny things, music, and love. He is the only member of the famous band The Highwaymen still alive. He was in it with Johnny Cash, Waylon Jennings, and Chris Christopherson. Chris died in September 2024 at the age of 88. Willie paid a moving tribute to him. "He left us a lot of great songs to sing for as long as we live. You know, Chris was a great friend of mine, and we had a lot of fun together. We made a lot of music videos and movies together. I was sorry to lose him. It was a sad time, even though it hurt." Willie chose to keep going and play music, still on tour and still happy. You might think that someone in their 90s would want to take it easy, but Willie Nelson doesn't. People would smile and sing along with him on stage even when he was 91 years old. He played at a protest for Vice President Kamala Harris in his home state of Texas in October 2024. "Mamas, don't let your babies grow up to be cowboys." And "On the Road Again" were some of the songs that Willie played for the crowd. The people there couldn't believe it. He was still full of life even though he was 91 years old. Like always, he laughed, sang, and shared the stage with other people. He wasn't the only one. Beyoncé was one of the unique guests that night. She wrote a moving Instagram post about Willie after the event. That moment showed how much Willie has meant to people of all ages. No matter how big or small the star, everyone respects what he's done and how he acts, even when things are tough. But while Willie is on stage making people happy, he has been thinking about the bigger picture behind the scenes. He can say what's on his mind through his music, taking the end with grace. When Willie Nelson turned 92 in April 2025, he had a lovely present to give to his guests. The Last Leaf on the Tree is his 76th studio record by himself. These new songs are very deep. They are about getting older, losing loved ones, and what it means to leave a legacy. The fact that his son Micah made it even more personal. Willie told the Associated Press that the album was about how to deal with death with grace. There are covers of acts like Tom Waits and Beck on the album, as well as new songs that Micah and the singer wrote together. Willie's thoughts on life, getting older, and what we leave behind when we die are in each track. The record doesn't sound sad even though it's about death. It sounds strong, smart, and calm. That's what a lot of people see Willie as now. Someone who has been through hard times and still managed to keep smiling. He's also had a lot of loss to deal with. Now, Willie is the only one left of the bad guys. He has lost family members, close friends, and bandmates. He could be sad, but he chooses to honor them by singing, acting, and telling their stories. That could be why he's still here, because he brings a piece of them with him every time he picks up Trigger and goes on stage. Willie Nelson has been sick and sad, but he has also beaten the odds. Now that he's 92, he's back on the road, singing with strength and love, showing that you can still play the next song no matter what life throws at you. What do you think keeps Willie Nelson going strong at age 92? Leave your thoughts in the box below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more amazing stories from the past of Hollywood. Have a nice trip.